morning, everyone, and welcome to Developer Chat here at Privateer Press, October 30th, 2019. It's Halloween tomorrow.
I'm always disappointed because I have to look at the camera and I don't get to see the star wipe 100%, but I can see it out of the corner of my eye, and it looks like it might be amazing, but I can't just stare at it because I got to stay professional.
Yeah, that's definitely what we do on this show.
Yeah, we're totally, 100%.
I'm Will Hungerford. I'm lead developer at Privateer Press. This is my boss, Schoonover, my mentor. Everything you see me do, I learned from him.
100%. Guaranteed.
Yep, you're the dev manager.
I am.
And today we're going to be showing you concept art from the upcoming Convergence CID, talking a little bit about some of the rules, ideas, and we're not going to be showing any of the rules PDFs because the second we do, the CID effectively starts.
Yeah, the CID starts on Monday because of Warfare Weekend travel and that kind of stuff. And we would normally have a stream to introduce
but we won't be here.
All the rules, concepts, and everything else. So we're doing a half stream, and then we're launching the CID on Monday.
Yep. So let's go through the announcements first. First,
Yeah.
if you've never watched any of our streams before, we stream at least twice a week here, every Wednesday at 10 a.m. Pacific. That's the Dev Hangout.
Mm-hmm.
That's what you're watching now. Also on Thursdays is Get Your Paint On with Jordan Lamb, where he does hobby painting tips and tricks on new miniatures.
And tomorrow's a special one.
Tomorrow's a special one. They're going to be doing pumpkin carving using Privateer Press stencils. So make sure you join in and watch a live pumpkin carving. Then we do two other shows regularly, but not weekly. There's a staff showdown where we play the games we make. The next one's going to be Riot Quest on November 19th. And then Hobby Hangout, which is Danny and Brian's show, where they do... Brian does the more like how do you clean miniatures, how do you, the actual doing the hobbying side that isn't painting.
You can say it's the more professional one.
It is the more professional one, yeah. Whereas Danny shows you how to kit bash and make terrain and, stuff we used to do in kindergarten.
I never did that in kindergarten. I've still got a clay thing I made in kindergarten. I don't know what it was ever supposed to be, but it barely looks like anything.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Real fast, let's hit those mini crates. I want to show everybody. Right now, non-metallic Newman, the actual Angel version of Aurora, is available through mini-crate.com.
Completely a coincidence with the CID timing. We did not set it up like when the CID comes out, we should do an Aurora mini crate. It just happened that way.
It just happened that way. And the Transfer Dancer is the VIP model. That's going to be through February of next year.
Yeah, you've got a while on that model still.
If you are an L5R fan, Akodo Tuturi is the current model, and Sadako is the current VIP model. And over on the Savage mini crate,
but that VIP runs out in November on the 5th. So
it does. Thank you.
So we've only got a few days left on the VIP for L5R.
Thank you very much for the reminder. And over on the Savage mini crate, El Barak is available till November 12th, and then we still have Conan on the throne till January 12th.
Yep.
But afterwards, he'll be swapping over.
Yeah,
so you've got
I'm really curious to see what that next VIP is. I haven't seen it yet. I've seen some other models, concept art, sculpts, and stuff from that line, but I'm not sure which of them is the VIP. So I'm very excited.
Cool. Last thing to announce before we jump into things is if you haven't heard, we are taking subscriptions here on Twitch now. So if you subscribe on our Twitch channel, you will get a subscriber badge and special emotes. And as we get more subscribers, we get to unlock more emotes.
Yep.
We've already unlocked the Chibi Ashlyn and Chibi Eris thanks to our subscribers. And we're very close to getting the next one, which would be the Monpok Donut Factory.
Yeah, we're going to have a donut factory pretty soon.
So if you want to shove your love and support, if you want
shove your love our way.
If you want to show your love and support, please subscribe on Twitch. You can also cheer and many of the other great things you can do on Twitch. So let's get to it. Real fast, I do want to give a shout out to Neil Dexter, Canadian player. It is his birthday today. He is a rabid fan, and he will be coming to Lock and Load. He was part of the crew that did the Extreme Colossal Wrestling at Lock and Load this year. And he's going to be trying to get the belt back. So it's his birthday. I want to wish him a happy birthday. So let's talk about the Convergence CID. Let's go through sort of the logistics first, and then we'll get into the meat of things. As Oz said, it's starting on November 4th. That's this Monday. We'll have it up that morning. It's going to run through the 20th, which is on a Wednesday. Something kind of important to know about this one is, as Oz mentioned, Oz and I are both going to be at Warfare Weekend. We'll have Faye and Jason Souls in the forums kind of monitoring things, but there will be a little bit less. You won't hear from us as much because...
Yeah. Now, if you're at the show, you'll hear from us directly.
Sure.
And if you want to play CID playtest games at any convention, and you get feedback and you want to casually talk to us in the evenings when we're hanging out. Don't just like chase us down and tackle us and be like, "This is my playtest feedback."
Yeah, please don't tackle
But those kind of things happen at those kind of shows. So we will be having feedback conversations with people. We just won't be doing it online.
Yeah. So what this means with us being out is that you will not see an update the first full week until we're back in the office after Warfare Weekend. Normally we would get an update out the first week of a CID once we got everybody's playtest rules. And that's not going to happen. So if there's something that's terribly underperforming or something that's really broken, which hopefully there isn't, we've been doing a lot of internal testing.
Yeah.
We're not going to be able to update that until we get back in. So that's going to make things a little strange, but we'll try and monitor as best we can, and we'll try and pop in there when we can and say, hey, we're aware of this, so on and so forth. But just keep an eye out and know that we're not ignoring you for the first week. We're just busy somewhere else.
We're in St. Louis.
Yeah, we're in St. Louis.
Or in the sky.
So this CID is the Convergence CID. It mainly focuses on all the new models coming out in the Convergence block, which we'll talk about the narrative behind that in a bit.
Yeah.
It's also going to have some legacy changes, which we'll cover at the end of the new models, and there'll be a new theme force as well. You can expect to see these models start rolling out like Q1, Q2 of next year once the final Oblivion stuff is all hit and come out. So why don't we just get right in and start looking at some of the new stuff. So the first one that you're going to see on the CID that you haven't seen the rules for is going to be unique, and that's Destructotron 3000, which is a Riot Quest model and has War Machine rules. The thing that's unique about Destructotron is his rules are locked. While he's in the CID, for you to be able to use in your testing, he is not eligible to change.
Yeah, unless we find some horrific interaction that we have to solve. But he's not super complicated, and we've tested him and stuff. But you never know. There could be something that pops up that blue screens the game, but more than likely not.
Now, while we're talking about the new models, we're going to talk about what they do in the game, and we're going to go over a couple of their rules. We've got all the rules right here. But we are not putting the rules PDFs up. We're not spoiling everything, and the reason is as soon as we did that, effectively the CID starts. Once everybody has the rules, and we want everybody to start on Monday with all the information in front of them and everything in one big concise place. Now, because Destructotron is not changing, because he has immunity playtest, he is one that we are comfortable kind of going over his rules with you right now. So he is a 6-point solo, speed 6, Mat Rat 6, Def 13, Arm 17, and he's got 8 damage boxes.
And he's not a partisan for Convergence. He's a Convergence solo.
This is a Convergence solo. He's on a medium base. He has Cavalry, Construct, and Gunfighter. So you do get cav attacks with him. He has Reposition 3, so he's very mobile for a Convergence solo.
Yeah.
He has Soul Vessel, like many others.
Because he has to.
He has Stumbling Drunk, which is...
This is his weirdest rule.
Well...
It's because that tiny wheel?
It's because of the tiny wheel.
It's not balanced very well?
I mean, imagine like a top, and you're hitting the top, and it's wobbling around. So Stumbling Drunk, he can't be knocked down, and when you hit him, he wanders in a random direction, and then you get to choose the facing. And then he has Super Conduction. And Super Conduction is the rule that when a friendly faction model makes an attack with a ranged weapon with damage type electricity, within 5 inches of this model, in this model's command range, which is 6, you get +2 to the attack roll. So super conduction is going to be really key in this CID because there's a lot more electrical-based stuff happening. And Destructotron is a very potentially key part of certain army builds, and we wanted to make sure people were testing with him existing. His weapons is he has a pair of electro pummelers. They're range 10, PAL 12, damage type electricity, and they have Thunder Charge. Thunder Charge being that when you hit a smaller medium base model without immunity electricity, it's slammed D3 inches. And the mount attack is PAL 12. He's got Gunfighter, so you can charge in, shoot you, slam you, shoot you again. He's getting the plus to hit because of super conduction. For a 6-point solo, which often you're going to get for free in the theme forces he works for, he is a potent little guy for what he does. 13, 17 with 8 damage boxes is definitely not unkillable. Stumbling Drunk definitely adds a layer of uncertainty to your attempts to kill him. Maybe it gets easier because he wanders your way. Maybe not. We'll see. So let's.
So that's the non full-on War Machine model, but the rest of these things are things that people have not really heard about.
Yes. So let's go into the new Warcaster that everyone's going to be getting, and that is Arc Newman Aurora, Aurora 2.
Yeah.
So Aurora 2 is kind of center to the whole story that is part of this. First off, she's on a large base. So when you look at the concept art and you look at those wings spread, that is a huge...
That's a big model.
Yeah, this is... Her body is the same size as, like, say, the original Aurora. I think, like, Harbinger.
Yeah, she's not a construct. She hasn't gotten a robot body yet.
No, this is
you
still...
can still see she's got some skin on her face.
Yeah, this is still a human Aurora.
Yeah.
But when you think of, like, the Harbinger's model, like, Harbinger's, just a human-sized, and then she's on the large base. This is going to be Aurora on her base, just wings spread. She's going to be big.
Yeah.
So let's go through a little bit of the narrative because it's going to tie into stuff you're going to see. The Infernals show up. We know the Order of Elimination is gathering Morrowind's Thamorites, everyone they can, and they're trying to all fight back against the Infernals.
Yeah.
And they're trying to fight them traditionally, like sword and sorcery, right? Whereas the Old Witch tried to bring the Grimkin in as a ways of denying the souls to the Infernals and kind of force their hand / stop them from showing up. The Convergence has a different plan, but not all of the Convergence. Certain elements of the Convergence have begun working with certain elements of Crix to try and do something different, which is not going to be revealed here what they're trying to do. And not everyone is happy about it. There is a...
Most people are not happy
Most
about
people
it.
are not. There is a big schism in the cult right now. And at the heart of that is Aurora, who is willing to do these radical things and is willing to work with people outside the cult. And on the other end is Iron Mother, who is like, are you out of your mind?
Yeah. Because Iron Mother is a title. The leader of the cult is the Iron Mother or Father. So she's completely in charge of the entire cult. And Aurora's doing something different.
Yeah.
But Aurora has special dispensation to a certain extent because Iron Mother is her mother, like literal mother and religious mother. So she's not, so they're having like more of a argument discussion than a full-on like war. But they're still very, very unhappy with each other.
And I don't know exactly when like full-on lore for all this will be released and how released, whether that'll be in a book form or any other form. So, but there will be stuff for people to be able to kind of catch up on what's going on.
Yeah.
That will not be this year, I can tell you that. So Aurora is a mercenary warcaster with partisan convergence. She, again, is willing to go outside the box and work with the elements of the world that you normally wouldn't see. One thing that's unique about her and that you're going to see repeated on a couple other models in this CID is a new thing called a new type of limited battle group.
Yeah.
So limited battle group has existed before. We've seen it on things like Arcadius, which says he can take Feral War Beasts, and he can take Goraxes, and Goraxes become minion War Beasts.
Yeah.
Things like that. She has limited battle group, Convergence, and Mercenary, which says that no matter which army you play her in, she could take Convergence and Mercenary Warjacks in her battle group. And the new line that's added to these new limited battle groups is whichever faction she is, those models become.
Yeah.
So if you were playing her in Convergence, you can take Mercjacks with her and they count as Convergence Jacks. If you play her in Mercenaries, you can take Convergence Warjacks and they count as Mercenary Warjacks. Part of this CID is going to be an update to the wording of Induction. It's not going to fundamentally change, but the current wording in the book is Convergence Warjacks with with an interface node can induct.
Yeah.
We're going to change that to say models with an interface node can induct other models in their battle group. Therefore, when a Convergence Warjack becomes a Mercenary Warjack, it doesn't mean you stop inducting.
And more importantly, when a Mercenary Warjack becomes a Convergence Warjack, you can't induct to it.
Correct. Like you will only be able to induct between models with interface nodes. Obviously, the MatX, RatX still works exactly the same, and that'll just be a couple little changes going on.
Yeah.
So, as for what she does, Aurora is air superiority, the Warcaster.
Yeah, with wings that big, she's got to be all about flying.
Her feat specifically benefits flying models. of which you'll see some new ones in this CID. She has a series of battle directives. Think of these like super battle plans that affect models with flying in her command range, and they affect her, and they're very strong. We're talking about things like everybody getting flying high, which is -3 range against range attacks, everyone getting dual attack, gaining dodge. There's a couple different options you get, and this is her giving her orders from the sky.
Yeah.
She also, on her weapons, which is both ranged and melee, has the ability to hit enemies and make them lose flight and be knocked down.
Yeah.
So the idea is she's trying to ground people while she keeps to the skies. She also has a new spell, Arcane Propulsion, which is a warjack in her battle group, gets +2 inches of movement, +2 defense, and gains flight. So a lot of these battle directives that affect models with flight, she can give a model with flight. So if you want
flying inverters? Is that what you're going to say?
Flying galleons.
Well, sure.
I mean, you can absolutely be like, my galleon flies now, and then all these things like dual attack, for example, that only affect models with flight in her command range. If you choose that battle directive, now your galleon picks up dual attack or any other warjack you want.
But you have to put big wings on it.
Yeah, flying blockaders are going to be quite strong. So it's she's definitely an interesting caster. One we haven't really seen somebody be like, my whole shtick is air superiority. That's going to be a very strong theme. Obviously, when we're testing her, and you're going to see this again repeated with a lot of these other models, is these mixed battle groups.
Yeah.
We saw the beginning of this with the infernal, like Warriors of the Old Faith and Flame of the Darkness, where there was a little bit of these alliance style.
Yeah, there was some blurring of the edges between factions.
Yes, and you're going to see that with this Convergence CID to some degree as well.
In the chat, Dustin Von Berg, it's gone past, but it doesn't matter. I can still remember what it said. Was asking if this was the character that found out about her dad in the Oblivion stories, and yes, it is, because her dad is.
We'll get to that in a second.
Is in this stack of paper, but yeah. So if you read the Oblivion story, there's a little bit about the Convergence and some stuff. Doug Seacat put in some things about the Convergence in there, and this is that unfolding.
So let's move on to the next, which is going to be a Convergence solo. This is not a merc.
More angels.
More
angels all the time.
There's going to be a lot of.
When you said that her flight benefits some of the things in this, it's most of the things in this.
Sure.
Because almost everything in this CID can fly.
This is Prefect Hypatia.
Yeah.
And Prefect Hypatia is sort of a leader of the Clockwork Angels and the other angels you'll see in a moment.
Now, don't mispronounce her name as Perfect Hypatia. That was happening when people first saw it, and they didn't they weren't familiar with the word prefect, so they were just reading it as perfect. And you had people talking about that new perfect model that we're making.
No.
And people were like, what? Perfect model?
No.
But yeah, Prefect Hypatia is a mid-tier leader in Aurora's weird schism thing.
And the thing is that she is a clockwork. She is a construct, soul vessel. Unlike Aurora, who has remained human, she is, you think like traditional Clockwork Angels, she's like you said, one of the leaders.
Yeah.
She's a solid combat solo with a lot in common with many of the Clockwork Angels, though she does have, it should be noted, an electrical range attack and Thunderbolt on it. You're going to see more electrical attacks appearing throughout this CID. One of the big things she does is she does have a leadership aura for other angels, and she gives them apparition.
That's pretty awesome.
Apparition on herself and other angels is going to be fairly strong. I mean, Clockwork Angels are already very, very fast. They have repo, and now if you try to jam them up, you can simply port out with apparition and then make yourself be free. So you'll be seeing more of her, and I think when you're playing either the new Theme Force or you're traditionally playing with the angels, you're going to want to grab her as one of your free solos.
Yes, She really links together the entire angel theme.
Yes,
that we're going to explore more in the next.
Let's go ahead and look at a new unit being added, a new Convergence unit, and that is Negation Angels. This is a new 3-girl unit of angels. Now, we've got the Clockwork Angels already, and the Clockwork Angels we want to keep more. They're speedier, they have the repo, and they're a bit stronger at range, mainly because they've got CRA, they've got the blade shield, and they can harass from the edges, and if you try and jam them up, now you can apparate out with Hypatia.
They kind of fill that cav role in the Convergence by being the fast flanking repo force.
The negation angels are the more melee-oriented angels, and they're not quite as fast. Same speed, they're speed 7, but I say that they don't have native repo.
Yeah.
They do have prowl. So the idea is the negation angels are running up from terrain to terrain to get into place. They're using terrain to protect themselves versus the repo and the movement shenanigans.
They're hiding in the trees.
They're hiding in the trees, yes.
Yeah.
They've got gang, so they definitely want to get in there versus the CRA of Clockwork Angels. The Negation Angels want to get into melee. One thing to note is they're Mat Rat 6. The Clockwork Angels, as part of the legacy changes, are also going to go up to Rat 6. We want the Angel chassis for non-characters to be 6/6. Because you've got things like Aurora 2 being able to give dual attack out to all models with flight in her command range, which will affect all of these angels.
Yep.
So the main thing they do is they're meant to get up there, hit people with gang. They have a ranged attack and a melee attack. Their ranged attack has crit paralysis on it. Their melee attack has straight up paralysis on it.
Normal paralysis.
So they get up, hit living models, lock them down so the rest of the army can get in there against the Def 5 and or stop something from running or charging in. Point cost is cheaper than Clockwork Angels, if I'm not mistaken.
I don't remember the Clockwork Angel cost. I didn't look at it before the stream. I'm a bad person.
Let's move on to the new light Warjacks Convergence is getting.
Remember how I said everything flies?
So there are two new light Warjacks, both of which fly. The first of which is the Negator.
Yeah.
Negators are dirt cheap. They are 6 points. They are pure melee, no utility whatsoever, and they're fast. They've got flight. They've got repo 3. They've got flank Negator. So they want to.
So they're like piranhas. They tag team you.
Yes, and the language in it is specifically when you're in the melee range of another friendly Negator. They can't trigger it on themselves.
Yeah.
So the idea is that they want to get in. You want to run these things in swarms. They also have 2 initial attacks. They're striking at power plus strength 11 with flank, and they've got crit amputation.
Yeah, because look at the size of those crazy blades on that thing.
Yes.
A lucky hit and you just lost an arm.
So we expect people to run these in multiples. Like you want at least 2. You're probably going to run 3. And at 6 points, they're very dirt cheap. Given that the new theme force, one of the benefits is being able to take Warjacks that cost 6 or less for free as your requisition. You can spend all 3 requisition points on 3 negators if you want to.
Yep. And Aurora giving you that negative to range attacks against flying things will help deliver these things on the table.
Yeah, if you run the flying army, when you do the flying high, you can help deliver your force up there. The other flying light is the opposite. It's a dedicated ranged one, and that is the Tessellator.
Yep.
The Tessellator, I think, uses induction probably the best if you run a group of them as a gun line. And that's because they have 2 initials, left and right gun arms, and they have reload 1 on each arm. So you can make 4 shots with these things, but you have to spend 2 focus to reload each arm, giving you 1 more focus to boost an attack or damage roll. But if you run a little line of these things, you could start with the first one, have it take all its shots, induct to the next one, have it take all its shots, move to the next one. They're hitting at power plus strength 12, and they've got volume fire.
Yeah, because these are like machine gunning kind of things.
Yeah, so they have a respectable. You're not going to go killing colossals with these things.
Yeah.
But with volume fire, you can put some decent range pressure on elite infantry, light warjacks, and some heavies as well. Especially if you decide to not do the reloads and just boost the damage instead off the volume fire.
Yeah.
Okay, before we move on to the next one, Tony, I need to get everybody ready for this. So
the chat is kind of guessing, figuring out things with our subtle hints as we go along.
Let's talk about Super Juniors.
Super Juniors.
There are
unofficial term, by the way.
It's an unofficial term.
Yeah.
There are going to be models coming out that are unofficial term Super Juniors. So we know what journeyman warcasters are.
Yeah, and we saw the first kind of hint at this, and we talked a little bit about it with Asphyxius last week.
Yes, and he's a Super Junior. The idea is you have your full-fledged warcasters, as survivable as we know them, depending on who they are, and then you've got your lessers. And your journeymen, most of which who have between 3 to 5 focus, but usually like 5 to 8 damage boxes. They can bring some jacks, but you're usually bringing maybe one jack at most, 1 if you have to with the journeyman. Super Juniors are supposed to be in the middle between a journeyman and a full-fledged warcaster.
Yeah, and they're kind of a normal model that would be doing its role plus the Journeyman Warcaster rules.
Yes. So, Tony, don't put this thing up yet. Something happened in Nemo, y'all.
Really?
Something happened in Nemo. And, Tony, go ahead and put it up. Look what they've done to my boy. Nemo 4.
They needed to save him.
Nemo 4
from dying.
Is a battle engine.
Yeah, that's a deceptive piece of concept art because it could be like a really weird warjack or a really weird servitor. But yeah, that's a massive spherical winged object.
That is a huge based battle engine, and that is what has become of Nemo.
Mm-hmm.
So he is a battle engine super junior. When I say super junior, that means he has battle group controller.
Yeah.
Battle group controller. He has to take one jack. He gets focus. He has spells.
Yeah. Now, this is not one of the flying things in this faction, right?
No, it is not.
Because those look like wing / Star Trek nacelles, but they're not. They're just his like propulsion system. He's hovering on the ground, but he's not flying through the sky with his weird wing things.
Chat, your chat's response right now is kind of exactly what we expected it to be.
Yeah.
So let's talk about this model.
Yeah.
What have they done to him? Well, for one, he is basically a sentient gate. It has to do with whatever Aurora is working on, and he is in a machine that has his consciousness in it, has his soul in it, and is capable of bending reality.
Yeah.
Is the best way to put it.
Yeah.
Because of that, you're going to see him do a lot of crazy stuff. He has 2 different shifting powers he can use, one called Fold Space and one called Spatial Vortex. Mm-hmm. He has opened the gate.
Which we saw on the Well of Ouroboros.
Which we saw
originally.
on the Well of Ouroboros, which lets you once per game summon a non-character solo of cost 5 or less in, which that solo can come from outside of the theme force you're playing.
Yeah.
He just blinks somebody into existence.
So when you're thinking about the Super Juniors and their points costs and the fact that they have to take a warjack, so Nemo's not cheap, but he does have a built-in discount that he's kind of 5 points cheaper because once a game you're going to use that ability to put a model in play that wasn't in play before.
So we should. He's part of Aurora's whole deal, and as y'all saw, she was a mercenary partisan Convergence. So Nemo is a mercenary battle engine with partisan Signar and partisan Convergence.
Yes, Nemo blurs the lines the most in this subset of models.
Hey man, sexiest.
Nemo can play in a lot of different things, and being a battle engine, he fits into some theme forces that say Signar battle engine and that kind of stuff.
Yep.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, he has a limited battle group similar to Aurora, but his is he can only take Mercenary, Convergence, and Signar jacks. Not all. It specifies all non-character, but he can also take warjacks with Bond Nemo.
Yeah.
So you can't bring any character jacks aside from the ones that have Bond Nemo, and those jacks all become the same faction as whatever faction he's playing in. So if you bring him in a Signar army, like heavy metal, and you bring some Convergence jacks and some Mercenary jacks with him, they count as Signar jacks, and every permutation thereof.
Yeah, which is what, like we said earlier, we want to test the most in this entire CID, is this, I can take Nemo and I can grab any number of these combinations of warjacks from these 3 factions and do crazy things with them.
Yes.
So we want to stress test what does Nemo do with warjacks that you could never have put in the same army before being controlled by a model that is this powerful. Because there's been mercenary jack marshals, and so mercenary jacks can get into Signar and that kind of stuff before, but this is a different ball game because of the access to focus and spells and those kind of things.
So gameplay-wise, he has 3 spells. He has 3 solid spells. He also has a very powerful gun.
Yeah.
He acts very much like a battle engine that can spin focus. I mean, he has a D3+1 rate of fire shot that's got Thunderbolt on it and has a respectable POW. It is damage type electrical, again. He has several other electrical type damages because while electricity is not his main shtick anymore, he still knows how to master it.
Yeah, he still has power coils on top of him because you can't have Nemo without some sort of spark plugs.
Yes.
It just doesn't happen.
Golfer Guy says, loving the new design space you're all implementing. This is definitely the weirdest CID we've done in a while.
It is super weird.
One thing I want to talk about with him is his survivability. And his cost. Let's just throw that out right now.
But first, Morse 127 asked about melee. He has a bash, right?
Yeah, he just has a rate.
He can just like bump into people.
He can bump into people. He definitely wants to sit in the back. This is a super junior you want to bring jacks with and support. Probably 2 or 3 jacks, I would imagine. Part of that is also his cost. He's 16 points right now. Now he's got opening the gate, so you get a 5-point solo out of that.
Yeah.
But he's also hella survivable.
He's a battle engine.
He's 30 damage boxes, 5 focus, and he's arm 18.
Yeah.
Now, let's throw the next part of him. He is himself a battle engine, and he has the companion rule.
So Tony, the next slide.
Which means
please.
You get a unit that comes with him that doesn't cost any points. They just come along with him. He is not a battle engine unit. He operates and activates separately. This unit activates separately.
Yeah. And this is a 3-model unit.
Yes, but this is arcane mechanics. These are 3 mechanics that specially tend to Nemo's new body, and they do things like give him a focus, which lets him go above focus 5. Do things like give his range attack signs importance and other things like that. So these mechanics, they have to stay close to Nemo to keep him fully tuned, as it were, and they're not survivable. They're like Def 13, Arm 11.
Yeah. They're wearing standard, normal, not armored clothing.
They're wearing cardboard.
Yeah.
You want to plink them off as soon as you possibly can, because Nemo's threat while they're on the board, it definitely fluctuates from way better than 16 points to maybe a little bit below 16 points. They're part of the counterplay to taking him out.
Yeah.
Concerns when testing him, obviously we have these mixed battle groups everyone needs to test out, and he is just incredibly durable. 16 points may be, and he's got opening the gate, right?
Yeah.
16 points may be undercosted. I know that's a lot for somebody that you have to pay for him, and you have to buy a jack to go with him, and none of that's free.
But there's a world where this unit costs 4 or 5 points, something like that, and you're getting a 5-point solo. So he's really discounted at like 9 points off that 16.
Yeah.
So we want to test if he's way too impactful for what his actual cost is.
Wilcat says, why are these not split loyalties instead of mercs? Part of that is going to be that they're working with elements outside of the cult of Cirrus. They're working with mercenary forces that they're having to hire because they've got this schism going on in the cult.
Yeah.
And so they're willing to go rub elbows with the Magnuses of the world to try and further their agenda, which doesn't line up with what their main resource bank is, which is everything the Iron Mother controls.
Yeah, and Aurora, a little bit more into that, Aurora's having to gather resources in new ways. Like, she doesn't have access to all the temples and all the different things, so she could be taking contracts here and there just to be like, you need something done, I need some whatever supplies, so I will do what I have to do. And it also lets you play around with a lot of things gameplay-wise that aren't necessarily reflected in the story, of building a merc army that is a little bit different and interesting than a standard mercenary army.
Yep. So the last model, and the last new model in the CID is the one we showed off previously, which is Asphyxius the Sanctified and his Annihilation Servitors. He is the other super junior. He is also a mercenary with Partisan Convergence, Partisan Crix. He has the limited battle group that says he can take Merc Convergence and Crix models in his battle group, and they all count as the same faction as him, whichever faction he's playing in. He is a mercenary Iron Lich unit, so he comes with 3 Annihilation Servitors, and he is a super junior, like I mentioned, but he is a unit, so him and his servitors will always go together.
Yeah.
Whereas Nemo wants to hang back and provide some support with his jacks and mainly be like this giant floating gun platform, and then help out with the sort of the shifting powers he has. Asphyxius the Sanctified has been built to murder and helps your army murder. So for starters, he has malign alignment, which says he, his servitors, and all warjacks in his battle group have Dark Shroud.
Yeah.
So no matter what you take with him, in whatever faction you can take him in, you can bring some stalkers and give them Dark Shroud. So in mercenaries, in Convergence, wherever it might be. This lets you apply Dark Shroud pretty easy, especially because at the start of this unit's activation, if he has less than 3 of the Annihilation Servitors in play, he puts a new one into play. So
yeah, much like Iron Mother creating new servitors during the game, Asphyxius has that capability too.
Then, like I said, he can take Convergence and Merc Jacks and they count as whatever he has. He has Interface, like Mortneber does, which means Jax can spin focus off of him if they're in base to base with him. So suddenly you can take a blockader and have it count as a Crix Warjack when you're playing Asphyxious in Crix, and then have said blockader start spending focus off of Asphyxious, of which he has 5 focus.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of really insane combos you can pull off of Asphyxious. He costs 14 points. He's not quite as survivable as Nemo. He's not as survivable by any means. Whereas Nemo is def 11, arm 18 with 5 focus and 30 damage boxes.
Yeah.
Asphyxious is def 15, arm 17, 18 damage boxes with 5 focus. So he's straight up standard like Asphyxious level survivable, but not quite as much as Nemo. And that's definitely, he wants to get up there.
Yeah.
He also has spells like Nemo, and one of which is Caustic Mist. So on the way up, he can protect himself and other aspects of the army with a pair of clouds every turn, which helps block line of sight to him.
Yeah.
He's got a lot going on, but I think probably one of the most interesting things is he has leadership constructs, bloodthirsty, which is all other constructs in his command range of 9 get plus 2 inches whenever they charge living models.
Yeah.
So if Nemo is back to midfield, Asphyxious is mid to front line.
Yeah, and so Nemo, a lot of his points cost comes into that he's bringing other things with him. A lot of Asphyxious' point cost stuff is how impactful he is to the rest of your army. Because we want him to be that bubble of things like that we just talked about, of getting your constructs to move faster when they attack stuff. Also, he gathers souls, doesn't he?
Yes. Well, so, his Annihilation Servitors.
Yeah. So he will have more focus than 5 when you do that blockader spending focus off him trick sometimes.
Yes.
So whereas Nemo can be given focus by his units, Asphyxious' servitors gather souls. Basically focus for him too.
Yes.
So both these guys play with slightly more than 5 focus, which is also a part of what makes them super juniors, because we've got lesser warlocks and juniors out there that are 4 and 5 focus.
Yes.
But we haven't gotten ones on the table that can go above that as easily as these two.
So I see a couple questions asking about the faction bending and why this is happening, and part of that is this is the narrative that everything is going towards. It's the response to fight the Infernals, right? The Infernals' arrival has been built up since the history of War Machine, and now it's finally here. And the Order of Illumination, Warriors of the Old Faith, Flame of the Darkness, and now this is showing forces that we've known for a while having to come together in very weird ways to try and fight off.
Yeah, the world has changed, like narratively in a weird way that shakes everything up in interesting ways we can look at gameplay wise.
Yes. And so it's based off the ever-growing storyline of War Machine and Hordes is why it's happening. And the Infernals arriving is like worse than if the Orgoth came back, right?
Yeah.
Like this is real apocalyptic kind of stuff that's going on. And so people are just doing what they have to do to survive. And suddenly, like, where's this national border at? Doesn't much matter anymore. But beyond that, even things like old hatreds, old grudges that have existed for centuries in the face of just oblivion.
Literal oblivion.
Literal oblivion. Yeah. People are willing to do whatever they have to do. So before we get into talking about some of the legacy changes and then talking about the new theme force, let's see if we have any questions about the new stuff we show. See here.
So someone is saying that the Infernals aren't here for non-human souls. They aren't technically. The deal they made was for human souls in exchange, but they want all souls.
They're also just going to kill everybody.
And the more powerful they get, the more they bend reality.
Yeah.
And there's a fear in the setting that if they get what they want, if they get the large portion of human souls, they become so powerful they could take over our reality. So like everybody, the dragons, Retribution, everybody is worried that, like, you would think Everblight would be like, well, eat all those people, I don't care. But it would make them so powerful because they're like horrific demonic forces from another plane.
Yes.
They're a thing that could destroy reality if they get too powerful. So everybody's worried about them. So that's why you're getting all these strange combinations of models that seem like they should not be friends, because the stakes are so high that everything could go so bad.
When I first learned, this was when the Matt showed us the concepts and was like, here's where the story is going, here's what you're doing. Like, it's definitely like, whoa, this is crazy, this is a new direction. But then like you start to think about it and be like, yeah, this makes sense in the face of everything that's happening, right? Like, I was as shocked as many of you the first time I saw Nemo 4. I think the words that came out of my mouth were, what have they done to my boy?
Yeah.
They made him a Nemo orb.
Well, and one of the most interesting things storyline-wise is Nemo had been invited into the cult.
And said no.
And he said no because he thought they were too obsessed with death and all these other things. But now that, he's had a accident, then he had to like kind of change his perspective on things.
So a couple people asking about Induction. So I mentioned this at the beginning. I want to remind everybody, there's going to be a change to the text of Induction. Currently it says when a Convergence warjack with an interface node spins focus, it can induct. We're going to change that to say when a warjack with an interface node spins focus, it can induct. That's simply because you're going to have Convergence warjacks in factions that are no longer Convergence. They won't count as Convergence. So now they're simply tied to the I system on the jacks. For people asking, can a jack with interface node induct off of Asphyxious 4 with interface? The answer is yes. And it's horrifying.
Yeah, because that's anytime an interface jack spins focus, it can induct it. So interface just lets you spin focus that's not on you. So it completely works.
So let's go ahead and really briefly go through the models we're going to do some legacy changes to. We're not going to go through, again, all their rules, but just tell you what we're going to mess with. So first off, we are looking at changing one Convergence Warcaster. I know a lot of people are expecting it to be Aurora 1. It's not. Here's why. There's the new Theme Force. She's one of the only casters that can be taken in it. The new angels that we're adding, the negation angels and Hypatia, the apparition abilities that have come in. We've done a lot of testing with Aurora as she is. And at the moment, we want to put her in CID as is and see what people do with the new tools.
We didn't want to drastically adjust her when we're giving her all this new stuff to play with.
Yes, and in our play tests, we were pretty good with what we saw, but we'll put her in as is. The one change we made, I think, has been a little bit, it's probably going to come out of the blue for a lot of people, but it's something we've been doing in testing, and it worked out really well, especially with the new flying lights. And that is a change to Syntherion. So right now, his feat says Jackson's control, the activating his control range, get to run or charge for free, and they gain dual attack. The dual attack is staying.
We're keeping dual attack. That's core to the theme.
But instead of run or charge, it's his jacks all get a focus. Now what this does is you can't run charge for free and then effectively still have 3 focus, but if you want to run rolling gun lines, or if you're already jammed up, giving a focus to a bunch of Convergence jacks, then inducting means you get to kind of get the chain rolling. And we found that gameplay-wise, things were going a lot smoother with him with where things were right now.
Well, it supercharges that induction to a certain extent.
Yes.
Because you don't have to have, he can keep more of his own focus.
Yes.
And you don't have to necessarily, if there's going to be a break in your induction chain, you have another focus over there already. So you can start those induction chains easier.
It just feels much better. It plays a lot smoother. I know there will be some people disappointed that you don't get to charge and then have 3 focus, because since you're getting 1 free one, you kind of lose that. But try it, and overall, it's just a much better gameplay experience, and also it gives you more flexibility in what he actually does. If you want to run more kind of dedicated gun line.
Flexibility is what we were aiming at in that, because a free run and charge is not always useful, but a free focus is always useful.
Correct. Yes. Speaking of jacks, we're changing 2 of the jacks, and these are just point cost changes. We looked at the Cypher and the Monitor, and we'll be adjusting their points.
Down.
Down. Yes. No, nothing.
Not up. No, not up.
We didn't nerf anything.
Everything
got strictly better. Clockwork Angels went up to Rat 6, and that was to bring them in line with the Negation Angels, so they're both Rat 6 now. We changed all of the medium-based infantry. Now, some of them are minor changes. Some of them, reciprocators, do what they do. And they do it well.
Yeah.
They just cost too many points.
Yeah.
Right? They didn't need a fundamental change in how they performed. They go up, they hold a zone, they soak a countercharge, and then they hit back decently well.
Yeah.
So they dropped in points.
Yeah.
Whereas the perforators and the eradicators, it was either a case of they weren't performing their role exactly how we wanted to, like the perforators, in which case we left them at the same points but changed some of their rules.
Yeah.
Or the eradicators, which was both. We changed their rules and we lowered their points.
Yeah.
So, reciprocators went down to 1016, whereas perforators, to give you an example, picked up CRA as one of the things.
Yeah.
Because CRA definitely helps with their accuracy and lets them go all in now on a heavy if they want to with the damage buff.
We also upped their native base range a tiny bit.
Yeah, their range went up as well. Versus eradicators, which we really looked at what they did. Not only did we drop their points, but we also added a couple other things like they picked up finisher, for example.
Yeah.
But you'll see all the medium-based infantry, and they'll definitely be tested. Solo-wise, most of the solos, Enigma Foundry, the servitors, we were very happy with where they were.
Yeah.
We looked at the Steel Soul Protector and felt that it was kind of being left behind. It just needed a little something, not much. Something that made it hit better for being such a good, having a decent melee attack, and also that defensive strike. So we just bumped its mat up. So just to make it a little bit more reliable. Theme Force-wise, in Destruction Initiative, you'll be able to take Nemo 4, because he's a Convergence battle engine. So basically, Destruction Initiative is not getting any words changed to it, and that's so that Nemo 4 goes into it. Whereas Clockwork Legions is specifically going to call out Asphyxious 4, because he is an Iron Lich unit. He has Soul Vessel, but the servitors don't.
Yeah.
So nothing caught him. So of the CID, everything you saw, everything but Nemo 4 goes into Clockwork Legions. And then Aurora 2, the 2 Flying Lights, and Nemo 4 go into Destruction Initiative. All of them work in the new Theme Force, Strange Bedfellows.
Yeah.
So to go over this one briefly, Strange Bedfellows is a new Theme Force along the lines of Warriors of the Old Faith, which Warriors of the Old Faith is a Khador Protectorate Theme Force. Strange Bedfellows is a mercenary convergence theme force. It's both simultaneously. If you're playing a steamroller and you're playing convergence, one of your list pairings can be this. If you're playing mercenaries in a steamroller, one of your list pairings can be this. It allows 4 casters. Remember, Warriors of the Old Faith also currently only has 4 casters. It allows Aurora 1, Aurora 2, Mort Nebra 1, Mort Nebra 2, and that's it. You can bring, obviously, Asphyxious 4. You can bring Nemo 4. You can bring all Angel units.
Yeah.
You can bring Mercenary and Convergence Warjacks. All of these models that have limited battle groups can bring their types of jacks. If you bring Mort Nebra in this, you can bring Crix Warjacks with her. And Merc Warjacks with her. And Convergence Warjacks with her. And they all count as the appropriate faction. And you can also take Thrall units in this. And this is us seeing some of Crix and Convergence working together. So you can have Angels backed up, or flying behind Mechanothralls and Bile Thralls, being led by Aurora, who's bringing
Carrion Thralls too,
and Carrion Thralls,
which fly.
This theme force represents.
You might have noticed,
which they do fly. This theme force represents the insanity of this alliance. Like when you see it on the tabletop, and you see Convergence, Merc, maybe Signar with Nemo 4, and Crix all working together, and this is their strange alliance to try and stop what the Infernals are doing. The list can also bring all Convergence solos, so you can get Destructotron and stuff like that. So you'll get the full rules on all of these things, so you can see all the rules, you can see all the benefits, and all the exact language on Monday, the 4th, whenever this goes live. So let's see if we've got any questions. Will Asphyxious 4 work in operating theater? No, we are not planning for having Asphyxious 4 entering into operating theater.
Well, and the rules for what the Dominator can attach to specify base size, right? And that's why the Dominator doesn't inherently attach to Asphyxious as a unit. He's a unit, but base size wise, he doesn't fall into that category.
Luke McCool says, what does Dragonfather think of these alliances? That's a really good question, and one that we can't answer right now, but you can imagine that if Turok knows, and he probably does, he's not happy.
Well, but also, he lets the liches do their own thing to a certain extent. Like Gorshade used to work for Crix, and he's gone through his whole thing. Asphyxius almost became a god once.
Yeah.
Like Mort Nebra could be doing all kinds of shady stuff that is helping Crix at the same time as this. So Torok doesn't always necessarily control everything everybody's doing, as long as they're not actively working against him. There's a lot of scheming involved.
And you also got to imagine that Torok is probably looking at Gorshade having recently changed from being undead to living again and going back to retribution. And now Asphyxius getting himself a robot body and working with aspects of the Convergence and mercenaries. And he's probably like, what's happening here?
Yeah, and somebody on there asked if Asphyxius' soul is inside that body, and it is. So part of the deal of the story and the stuff is that part of why he's a super junior now is he's inside that body and doesn't know exactly how it works. So for thousands of years, he's been in like a Duracell battery somewhere hidden, and his body's been running around. But now he's having to be in a body again, and it's a robot body, 100% robot body, not half and half dead robot body like before.
Somebody asked, for lists like things like this, how does list building work when the factions change? So in the Steamroller, it actually specifies. It says Flames in the Darkness becomes whatever faction the warcaster you have leading it is. So if you put a Signar caster in Flames of the Darkness, that is a Signar theme force.
Yeah.
Whereas Warriors of the Old Faith is a both Khador and Protectorate, and this one will be both Convergence and Mercenary. Let's see if we have any other questions we want to hit up real fast. Andrew Brown, what's going on in the fluff? Will we get more novels? We can't say if there'll be more novels right now, but I do know that I can tell you the next thing that's coming very soon, and the final stuff is being done on it, is the last part of Acts of War, which is going to cover the what happened with the sky ships and the big narrative that happened at Lock and Load. So more stuff is definitely coming. Will the TEP get a point change? Not to start CID, no.
No, we like we said, we adjusted some of the things that we knew were underperforming, like the medium-based infantry and that kind of stuff. But we want to see the environment of Convergence with these new things before we did anything else drastic.
Towards Heather says, which Crix themes can Gatsby 4 play in? Well, he's a Merc unit, so any Crix theme force that says you can take a Merc unit that works for Crix, you can take him.
Yeah. Now, he's not exactly an Iron Lich because of servitors and stuff, so there are some other things where you might see a category that looks like he isn't involved, but he's not because of that kind of stuff. But yeah, you can always use him as a mercenary.
Yep. Let's see if we have any of the ones we want to hit right
and
now.
we didn't take anything off of the medium-based infantry, right? The perforators kept assault and all those kind of things.
Nobody lost anything.
Other
than points.
We took points away. We added things to everybody except the reciprocators. So they just got better abilities or ranges or whatever, and then dropped cost if we thought it was appropriate.
So I think it's Jackson on there. It's hard to see the name from here. It says, our alliance is coming to hordes. So I can tell you that horde stuff, it's a little early to say anything right now. The Convergence Strange Bedfellows release is going to last through Q1 of 2020.
Yeah.
But there is horde stuff. There is horde stuff on the horizon. It's not like Troll, Scorn, Legion, and Circle just saw the Infernal show up and we're like, meh, no big deal. I guess we'll be fine, right? We're not humans. It's not how it works, right? You can imagine that Legion's probably looking, like everybody's looking down and being like, what? No, this isn't cool. Scorn's always trying to invade, and when they're coming over, they're like, wait a second, why is the sky raining blood? That seems bad. Trolls previously, had a good relationship with some of the humans before they got kicked out and then constantly sort of like screwed over time and time again. And there are troll bloods amongst the Kith and Creel that still have good hearts. I mean, I don't expect Doomshaper to come to the humans' aid, but like, could Madrak kind of return and be like, let's make amends? Possible. And Circle, you just gotta feel bad for Circle. Like, everything going on with Circle right now is just a nightmare for them. So, Horde stuff, it's too early to start talking about any specifics, but trust me, it's not like only War Machine is gonna get touched in the arrival of the Infernals.
Yeah.
And I think that's all the main questions we can hit right now. Yep, looks like it. So we're going to go ahead and get out of here.
I got one more thing to say, though.
Yeah, what's up?
CID.privateerpress.com is where you go to sign up for these kind of things. But remember, we manually let people into CID. It's not an automated process. And normally when there's not one running, we don't check those to let new people in. So we have gotten a couple of front desk calls that said, like, I'm waiting for my validation email and it hasn't showed up yet. Since we manually do all that stuff, probably starting Friday, and then during the CID, we usually check it a couple times a day and turn it on. We got to make sure people's names aren't offensive and that kind of stuff. So it's not, we don't jump through massive hoops, but we do manually check all that stuff to make sure that everybody in there has the right attitude and stuff.
So come join us tomorrow for the pumpkin carving at 10 a.m. We'll see a lot of you at Warfare Weekend. Oz and I will.
Yeah.
And we'll see a bunch of you on Monday. CID.privateerpress.com for the start of the CID. Until next time, bye everybody.
Somebody asked if there's